In this lesson, we're going to explore curves in FREECAD, so how we can generate different types of curves, as you can see here, or also shapes that are based on curves like circles. And also we're going to create a 3D model, so we're going to do a little bit of 2D and a little of 3D. We're going to create a model which is based on a shape that has been revolved. So we're going to see the next tool here called Revolution, and in other software it's called Revolve, and that's next to the part which is the basic extrusion. Now in the part workbench, we also explore already the loft and the pipe, which is a sweep. So this is going to be a new tool that we're going to explore right here. Now if you see here, there is an image underneath. I just switch to wireframe so you can see it. And there is an image that I've used as a reference, and we're going to use that image. I'm going to show you where to find it. You can use SVG or vector graphics as references, and also you can snap to them. They will be considered as kind of selectable and 2D shapes. And also we're going to use the pixel image, which is fine. And if you have some measures or something from the drawing, it's better, but you can use also a picture or something, a sketch or something draft. So let's get started, and I'm just gonna show you here the first curve. So I'm gonna get into the sketch, which is this one here, sketch 1, and you can see already some constraints here, and you can also see a lot of heads-up display, a lot of indications, annotations, measures, and etc. etc. So you can visualize or not some of these by going up here. So these are a series of switches. So you can see here for the circles, you can turn on and off the circles inside the shape. And then here you have a bunch of different switches for curves, and especially NURBS or splines or interpolation curves. So you can see you can turn on and off. These are curvature graphs. So they're pretty big and kind of you know, overriding everything. So you may want to manage those and turn them on and off. So you have many switches in here. You can decide if you want to use them or not. And also this one here, let me select. So here you can activate the visualization of like the single vertices. So you want to modify the curve. Now these are the control vertices are outside, and the interpolation points or vertices are inside a curve, and you can use both if you want. And then you have here virtual space, which is showing you like the various measures or constraints that you can put. So again, these are like just a series of switches, and when you select something, you have extra stuff like you can select the associated constraints that are found here in the list, and vice versa. You can select like a constraint and get the associated geometry. Now, one more thing I want to show you here on these are the drawing tools. And the last one right here is to convert one geometry into something that is going to be just a guide or like a reference. It's called construction. So essentially, if I draw a line or a polyline, whatever, there you go. And I say, okay, let me exit, so escape. So if I want to turn these lines, I can select them and click in toggle construction geometry. So they will become just construction lines. They will not work as geometry. They will not interfere with the revolve or revolution or pad or extrusion. They're just going to be there for you to use them, and you can always modify them as well. And the freedom, remember, of editing here is just about how many constraints I will put in here. So right now we don't have any, so it's pretty free. Okay, so let's start with the polyline. Polyline is a straight line, as we saw before, but also can become something else. So if I click normally, it's going to create a corner, or the next is going to go to the next line. But if I press the M key, M as Milan, okay, so if I press M, it's going to turn this into like a corner. It's going to be 90-degree corner. So I can click, and that's going to create, you see, a perpendicular constraint right there. Now again, I'm going to press M, and again, second time, I'm going to press M again, and now it's doing something like this. So let me go like down here. Okay, so you're basically creating a tangent or collinear constraint. Again, let's press M, and this is again 90 degrees. Press M again, and at some point you will see an arc appearing. So that's another option when creating polylines. It's going to generate arcs instead of like straight lines. So here you click, and you can see now the circle behind the arc. When you create a perfect arc, there is always like a circle in there. And remember, you can visualize it by clicking here, show and hide circular. Okay, now M again, and M again if you want to go back to the polyline, and let's close this, and now it's a closed shape. So also with the polyline, you can create curved geometry. Next one is going to be the arc, and you have like arc by center. So you create a center just like a circle, and then you define the arc. You can click with the left one. You can use the tag by typing the degrees. So if I say like 100 degrees, it's going to only be, you see here, well, it's going to be the opposite in this case, so 260 degrees around this circle shape. And then you have the ellipse, which is similar to the arc and to the circle, but it's a little bit like, well, not the same radius, but it has two radius or two diameters. So it appears like it's squashed or stretched. And same goes for the circle, which is the next one. So the circle is basically a complete 360-degree arc. Sometimes you have different ways you can create objects, and perhaps you can snap to other points. So if I click here and click here and click here, so this is like a three-circle creation, a 3-point circle creation right here. So to create a circle by 3 points, it's a little bit different. And again, you have the ellipse or the ellipse by 3 points. And let's proceed. Now there are some shapes, for example, the triangle or all the other polygons here that, well, they are not circles, but they are constructed within the circle. So you can see the circle going around as a construction line or as a reference line in blue. So that means that it's still being constructed on a radius. And if I turn this on, you won't see it here, but you will see it directly as a dashed line. And of course, you can change here the measure. Remember that it's just a matter of like setting up some measurements. So if I go here and I set up, let's say, a radius. So the radius, you don't need to click in the middle. You need to click on the circumference or the circle around. And there you go. It's gonna show you the insert radius. So let's type something precise like 5, and you can also name it, and you can use it as a reference as well, as we already saw before. But again, this is gonna now give you the possibility to change the size. So if I double click and I want this like smaller, I can just change it, and it's gonna affect the entire geometry because everything here is equal, so that you have equal size. Next in line, we have the slot. So you can see here the two types of slots. One is a simple like straight slot. Press the tab key to move inside. So I can say, okay, this is going to be 0 degree rotated, and then it's going to be like 2 centimeters, and then press enter. And as right now, you're just inserting the constraints and the measurements on the fly. So you are actually dimensioning the object you're creating. And 0.3 for the radius, or you know, the arc around, and everything is connected here. And this is the arc slot. So it's like creating again a circle, and then you define the degrees you want. You can see it's going positive here and negative here. So if